What is going on, guys? Welcome back to G&G. No Logan this week. Yeah, either he's having tech issues or died. I'm not really sure. I guess we'll find out. It doesn't really matter. But I thank you for coming back. Thank you for tuning in. Check in. We got Lord Crackhead in the chat here. Bow. Thank you for coming by, sir. So a couple of things, couple of announcements. We are breaking we're breaking the whole show, right? Because in the intro it says no drama. And our theme for the week is to count down our top 5 dramas.
Oh, fuck!
So we're breaking that. We got no Logan. And what really sucks about that, even though Logan, sucks, is that I had this whole shtick because the most ironically amazing thing happened the other day. So a couple weeks ago, I was, we were chatting with B-Rose. He was talking about his weebery. And what I said to B-Rose was how it's just funny to me, talking about influences. Not that there's anything wrong with being influenced by anime, but it's just really funny to me because I'm somebody who was influenced by Beowulf, Astrophil, and Stella, and I specifically cited Albert Camus, The Stranger. And then Michael messages me out of the blue and says that he read one of my books and said it was... You want to finish the sentence for me?
Yeah, so it's funny because I backed this book a while ago, and I've had such a massive backlog to get back at, and so at work the past few days I've just been doing a lot of reading, and I got to read How to Die, which I had tried to read.
Haven't even opened yet.
Which I had tried to read initially, but I was going through a lot, and so I couldn't get through. My mind was in different places. So I finally sat down and I read it, and literally I think I got to the point where his best friend discovers that they live in the same apartment complex, and the best friend's just I just need to get the fuck away from you, man. And I was just this is Camus absurdism, to the T. And it's funny, man, because it's I've been a really big fan of yours for a minute. You and I were on a show together ages ago when both of us were getting started, when you were doing promotion for your second Eudaimonia book, which was phenomenal. And I remember
you're doing Elysian Fields,
yeah. And I was I remember reading Eudaimonia and being oh my God, this is so good. But our audience is effectively looking for dime book stories.
Yeah.
And you're giving them Ernest Hemingway. And I'm just it's not to shit on the intelligence of our backers, but these are concepts that are really weighty. Every person that I told to read Eudaimonia, I was do not read it to yourself. You have to read it out loud, because if you don't, you won't realize that everything is in meter and everything rhymes and it's all poetry and it needs to be spoken out loud, and it's amazing. And every single person that I got to actually check out the book, they were just oh my God, this is incredible. But it's just one of those things that you don't notice until you notice it. And How to Die was the same way. It's you have this book, which, is advertised as this kind of horror monster book. And then you read it, and it's an absurdism commentary on life is meaningless, the way that Camus did it in The Stranger. And I was just oh my fucking God, he did it again.
Well, hang on. First off, we got Aardvark in the chat. Hail, Aardvark. Aardvark, we need to get you on here. Let me know if you're free next week.
I'm sure
when you're not watching the soccer game. Oh, Logan's alive. Hey guys, my PC is currently deceased, but I can hang out on the phone here.
Woo!
Can you stream on the phone? Like, do you want to jump on? If you do, just like shoot me a message. I'll send you the link. I've heard that that's a thing that can happen, but I don't. I'm technologically illiterate, so I don't really know how that works. But anyway, Michael, it's kind of amazing to me how, like, you and I are on kind of like a weirdly similar writing trajectory in an odd way, because you had Elysian Fields, you did Elysian Fields 2. Yeah. You seem to be really into genre hopping, which is like, that's my bread and butter. Like, I don't ever want to be, stuck in the same genre. Can you just kind of talk about that a little bit, and like what kind of drives you creatively to kind of hop around between worlds?
So I think the big thing for me is that, I don't have an established, like I'm trying to build an established audience, right? A lot of these bigger creators, they have a back catalog of content from their professional years in the industry that they can fall back on to showcase their range as artists or writers or this, that, the other. I don't have that. And so one of the big things that I really wanted to push was show people the different types of stories I could tell. That, like, I'm not just the mythology guy from Elysian Fields. I can write a superhero book like The Embrace. I'm not just a guy that tells these like deep emotional stories. I can write a dumb, goofy book like SPQR's Bizarre Adventure. And that's kind of what I'm looking at doing. Is I really want to showcase the range of writing and also the range of storytellings that I want to be telling with Nine Realms Publishing. It's just like I want somebody to look at my brand and realize that there is something for the, like, regardless of what your personal tastes are, there's something that you can find to be read. And with my back catalog that you will enjoy.
So I guess now that you said that, it kind of makes me think, I guess we're all kind of looking up at Graham Nolan, because he's kind of in that same venue where he does the Chinoo, and then he does Alien. I can never pronounce this right. Alien Alamo.
Yeah.
I always want to say like Alien Alamo.
It's just wonky words put together.
But yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I just want to get as many fires started as I can, so I always have something new to jump to, and just kind of show off range, kind of like, and because I'm going from genre to genre, just kind of jumping into as many different fields as I can, and just kind of have fun and just play around with different genres, because then you can bring other genres into other genres and just kind of play around with things. But okay, so I've seen you on like 3 different streams, and every time I catch you, I feel like I'm jumping in the middle of you talking about SPQR. So I have no idea. I just keep catching it at the wrong time. Can you just give like a little bit of a background and
all right? So
describe it to me as if I have no idea about like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
That's going to be hard because that's kind of like the whole. So this whole thing started a few weeks ago, actually, like about a month and a half ago, actually, at this point, where like I was at work, I was sleep deprived as all hell. Like I had worked like 3 12s back to back, getting off at like 2 to 4 in the morning each day, right? And one of the history nerdy pages that I follow, called daily status updates on the Roman Empire, had posted up that they have a merch store now, and one of their first t-shirts that they were announcing was a Cato the Elder Carthago Delenda Est shirt, and it's got the bust of Cato the Elder and Carthago Delenda Est all done up like like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is a big anime / manga that's like known for just being absolutely over the top with everything. It's freaking hilarious. It's really fun show if you're looking for a good watch. But
when you say over the top, what do you mean? What do you mean over the top? Like,
oh boy,
like ridiculous, like spectacle.
Like just over the top in pretty much every way that you could possibly imagine. Like, I remember, so like the first character that you get introduced to, Jonathan, he's okay, but like I always tell people that JoJo doesn't really become JoJo until part 2. And so there's this part in part 2 where Joseph is in a chariot race with vampire riding a chariot with vampire horses in a circus surrounded by a bunch of undead Roman legionaries and fighting a undead Pillar Man villain named Wham for the 80s band.
I think what Logan means here is that it seems sus that it's not a lot. It's only a little.
Just a little, yes. Okay. Hold on one sec, guys.
All right.
Give me 1 second. The little guy's calling for me. I'll be right back.
Now this image here, now that looks over the top. It looks like holy crap.
Give me 1 second. Duty calls his dad.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm looking over the page. 25 pages of JoJo inspired history, kinda. Gonna have the back catalog there. All right. Oily men with crop tops and luscious lips. You know, Logan, I think you got a future in writing. We should have Aardvark on. He's a certified cool guy, certified by me. Yeah, let's get him in here to talk about. I don't know if I have Aardvark on here. Isn't that going to be like back-to-back anime or manga?
All right, and we're good. Sorry, but yeah. So like it is to address what Ibex is saying. It is like, and it gets progressively more so. Like, it's got subtle homoerotic undertones where it starts to feel like Top Gun a bit in that way. And then like by the end, it's just like, you just kind of accept it is what it is. It's just really freaking weird. So seeing this.
Well, I mean, is this inspired by the Greeks or the Romans? Because depending on which one.
This one's inspired by the Romans. This like so.
Oh, okay.
Like the whole point of this was that there's a big fight in JoJo between Jotaro Kujo, who's one of the main characters, and Dio Brando, who's probably like the most iconic JoJo villain. And so I took their final fight from the manga and the show, and then I replaced the characters with Julius Caesar and Pompey Magnus and had them having a final showdown at the Rubicon River.
So the whole book is going to be one big fight, right?
Yes, it is just a giant fight that's done JoJo style, and it is Caesar crossing the Rubicon to fight Pompey Magnus. It is dumb, and it should not work nearly as well as it does. I lucked out in finding a fantastic artist that is really able to capture Araki's style very well. And I managed to crank out a script that works way better than it has any right working.
Like you have the 2070th anniversary. Like that's a notable anniversary. Like,
yeah.
Like, what do you get your wife for your 2070th wedding anniversary?
Yeah, a better headstone, I guess.
Where is it at in terms of production? Like, are you gonna?
Kari is on page 22 of 25.
So you're gonna be going in like ready to rock. When is it launching?
We're launching on Friday.
Shit.
So, yeah, I know. I've been trying to get some more eyes on things. It's been crazy, but I knew that I wanted to get it launched by the end of the month. And so you'll be able to get SPQR and you'll be able to get the Nine Realms catalog and catch up. We have our featured tier on this campaign, which is like our catch up tier, gets you all 4 of the books in a collector's box, an Embrace t-shirt, a collection of mini prints from all of the different pinups from the previous campaign, and a metal print of the thing that's down there. And then we have 2 secret tiers on this campaign, and we revealed one of them on B-Rose the other day.
Oh, so Phoenix is involved?
Yes, Phoenix is involved. He revealed the goodness. Allergies are kicking my butt.
Yeah, I don't know about that Phoenix guy. I don't trust anybody who has their hair slicked back like that.
He's decent enough people. He's been over to my place a few times. We live pretty close to one another.
Well, see, now I know you're lying because he lives in a Motel 6. I know that for a fact.
He's from Northern Virginia, and so like his mom's still up here, and so whenever he's back up in this area, he just crashes over there, or he couch surfs at a friend's, and like generally the area he's in is like a 10-minute drive from my house.
Okay, so here's my question for you. You said you're in like the Virginia area?
Yep.
Bojangles. Do you know Bojangles?
I am aware of Bojangles.
Are you a Bo fan?
It's okay.
Okay.
I feel like it gets a lot of overhype.
Mm.
I know that's gonna get me some serious hate. Because like the people that I know that like Bojangles, it's like practically a religion to them.
Yeah, because I'm from the East Coast originally, and we usually do a trip down to. We usually hit up Bojangles on the way to Busch Gardens, and what is it? Christmastown in Busch Gardens is like.
Christmastown in Busch Gardens is awesome.
Halloween Town is pretty good, but Christmastown's like a can't miss.
Yeah, no,
I don't know why the food in Busch Gardens is so awful.
I mean, it's just like the food at most amusement parks in the East Coast. They just kind of suck.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I've gone to a single amusement park and eaten any of the food that they have at any of their vendors and be like, you know what? I feel like I spent my money wisely here. I usually just feel like I need to throw up after 20 minutes.
That's fair. So, okay, here's my question. What first kind of brought you to storytelling? Because storytelling is something that I look at as being like almost noble or courageous. Like there's just something inherently special about wanting to not just wanting to entertain, but wanting to share your stories, wanting to kind of spark the imagination of readers. Was there anything that you just kind of had that aha it moment that just made you want to?
I think that the big thing always for me that I always go back to is my love of stories and telling stories. Goes back to my dad reading me the Iliad as a kid. Like my dad would come back. My dad was special forces, and so he would deploy and be gone months at a time. And I wouldn't see him, but when he'd come back, he would make sure he'd read me. Like my favorite book for him to read me we had this beautifully illustrated version of the Iliad and the Odyssey, and I would always love for him to read me the Iliad and go through and would look at all these beautiful watercolor pieces that were in each of them, and it was beautiful, and that really struck me, and I've always loved stories ever since. Like I've been a huge I got my introduction to everything here as being the mythology guy, because like that's what Elysian Fields was. It was Mortal Kombat with mythic heroes, you know? And so like that was the whole thing. It was like, you know, I had always had that connection to it. And then I started getting into the actual craft of writing everything and telling my own stories. Shortly after I had my first piece published, I had been I did a lot of freelance industry journalism. I got started at Movie Pilot, and I started to kind of my bread and butter at the time was kind of talking about like the Snyder DC films and how I would have approached things differently, how I would have taken these few elements that he would put forward that really work well and shift things around so that these things would work better and that you could have a more coherent story that is more in line with who these characters are in the books. And so I would have people go, why don't you write your own stories? And for a while, I just kind of made excuses. And then eventually I just started to go for it. And that's what kind of led me down this path.
Well, now it's getting kind of spooky because that's where my wanting to tell stories came from, was basically my dad. He had kind of an insurance office in the city, and I would just go and, you know, every kid wants to be their dad and hang out, you know, just hang around their dad. And yeah, I would just go into the office and just hang out with him, and he would talk to, you know, it was kind of like where the people in the ghetto went and got their car insurance done. And he just had this kind of natural ability to just be able to talk to anybody. And like everything was a story. You know what I mean? Like even the smallest anecdote, he could turn it into a story somehow. And so I just kind of listened to him, and I just developed that knack. Everything from like telling jokes everything was just a story to him. I say that he's not dead, by the way. I just said I'm referring to him as was. He's not dead. But yeah, that's just how I kind of came to it. I just wanted to, every boy wants to emulate their father, and my dad was just kind of a natural storyteller, and so it was the skill that I kind of developed through conversation, and that's kind of what got me started on it. But by the way, my next book, the Noirlem, does have an Iliad reference in there.
I'll let you know when I find it, because I'm almost certain I will.
I mean, it's not hidden. They're literally the main character is like teaching the local kids in the neighborhood, and this is when the detective first, you know, goes to talk to him, and he mentions so Coleman says something about book 2, and the police officer just kind of assumes that it's some kind of gospel study group, and he's like, "Oh, book 2, Corinthians," and he's like, "No, the Iliad." And then later on, there's a reference to like when they're working together, and the students are coming in for their daily lesson, and he's like, and the officer is like, "So where do we go from here?" And he's like, "Turkey, 12th century. You know, class is about to start."
That's outstanding. I dig it.
So the link for SPQR is in the description. Make sure if you're watching this now or you're watching this in the replay, you go ahead and sign up. Do you want to talk a little bit about the what people are going to get for joining the mailing list?
Yeah. So as I said, we have 2 secret tiers that will be available to backers. One of them will stay a secret until Friday, when everybody gets the links for it. But the other one is there is going to be a holofoil wraparound cover edition of SPQR's Bizarre Adventure with a whole bunch of extras in it, so you see how you have these pages up at the top of the campaign here. These have actually both been redone because Kari kind of leveled up and brought a whole new atmosphere to the art, and so she went and redid those pages. So you'll get like side-by-side comparisons and like some of her original pages versus what it's like in the book now, and just stuff like that. And so you get the only way that you can get that edition of the book is by signing up, and I'll share screen it. But this is the cover that you'll get. That'll be it's a wraparound If we're just gonna, here we go. Alrighty. Share screen.
Blue Samurai, first, thanks for coming out. And Logan is Ibex. He is the co-host, and he might still be dead. I don't think he's dead because he's in the chat. But that's Ibex. Oh, nice.
So yeah, if you sign up for the sign up list, which is kind of a redundant expression, this is one of the secret tiers. Is you'll get this. It'll be a full wraparound cover, and it'll be holofoil. The book, by the way, is being printed right to left. It's going to be full on manga tankobon style, and so yeah, it's a pretty fun time. So yeah, make sure you sign up. This is just one of the secret tiers.
Nice. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit. I gave you homework for the show.
Yes.
Before we get into our top 5, I guess my first question is, when I say TV drama, or let me tell you what that kind of meant to me. So my idea of a TV drama, and feel free to disagree, is that it has to be something in which the core element of the show is just human. You know what I mean? So
it's
nothing's supernatural. So Doctor Who can't be on it.
It's effectively like Sopranos is, I think, like the epitome of the modern TV drama. So like that's obviously going to make it into my list because it's the Sopranos. It's one of the most revolutionary shows of at least my generation. But
so we're on the same page. That works. Well, let's get into the top 5.
What? Yo, this shit is actually trash.
Michael, what is your 5th favorite TV drama of all time?
So I'm gonna put actually the Sopranos here.
At number 5?
Yeah, and the reason for that is I've never been too big on the whole like the mobster stories and everything. Like I enjoy them, but it's not my favorite genre. And so it's like, it's one of these things where it has to be in my top 5 because it is such an influential show. It is incredibly well crafted. It's just from a standpoint of premise, it doesn't really deal with something that like I get especially excited about, but it definitely deserves to be in the top 5 just from an objective standpoint. You know, like it does such a great job with its narrative storytelling, and the character dynamics are phenomenal. The tension in situations, even just beyond like, you have your obvious, rough them up scenarios that you get because it is a mobster flick, but like there is all this other tension. There is all this underlying drama that pushes the narrative forward. And I really think that it did in many ways bring forward like this revolution in how modern TV dramas were handled.
So I don't have it on my top 5, and I think it's just because of personal bias. I grew up like kind of around mob stuff, or at least I knew a lot of people who were kind of into the mob stuff. And since I always thought of those people as being the biggest fucking clowns I ever met, I can't take any of it seriously. Yeah, and they would be all into that, and I'd just be like, "You guys are clowns!" Like listening to 50 Cent and G-Unit driving around Escalades and making like you're on the Soprano, and like it's stupid. It's so like I'm biased. I'm heavily biased. I just can't do it with the Sopranos. I just can't take any of that stuff seriously.
So what would you put up at top 5?
Okay, so my number 5 is it's the only British show I have on here. Actually, let me double check. Even though I think British shows are some of the best drama, and I actually had The Crown. The Crown was my original number 5, and I replaced it with a show called Call the Midwife. Okay,
I've heard of that. I have not seen it. I'll definitely have to check it out.
It is okay. So you start watching Call the Midwife, and it's about midwives delivering babies, and you watch the first episode, and there is so much ear-piercing, shrill baby cries that it's like kind of painful. But one thing is that when you keep watching it over time, you become naturally immune to it. So that has the one thing going for it. It can make you completely immune to the sound of babies just crying and screaming. The other thing I really appreciate, aside from being just like phenomenally well-rounded characters and writing, is that, and I'll tell you when it kind of caught my attention. So we're watching an episode, and there's a woman who, I think she's pregnant, and she has bruises on her, right? And her husband is being kind of cagey and weird about it. And I'm just, because I'm so used to consuming media, that like you would think that like 100 times out of 100, it's an episode about, well, the husband's beating on her. And that's what everybody in the show thinks is happening as well. And it ends up being that's not what it is at all. She just has a kind of rare medical condition. And so just because I've seen it so many times, you're so used to seeing like the, domestic abuse, the abusive husband, that the fact that they were willing to tell the story and have it be something different and actually playing off of those expectations. And I was like, wow, this is really, it was something it did subvert my expectations in a way that I thought was thoughtful and caring. And so, yeah, I got to give it up for the show. It's really good. It's one of those shows where like you're even interested in the side characters. Like that's how well-rounded it is. And yeah, that's my obscure pick for number 5.
I mean, I definitely.
What are you talking about, Logan? Well, I swear every week Logan brings up lesbians. I don't know how he's able to do this.
I mean, hey, to each their own, right? Anyways, moving on to the number 4 slot. What would I put at number 4? All right, so I'm actually going to go with Hell on Wheels for number 4. Hell on Wheels was, if you're not familiar with it, was done by AMC, and it got overshadowed by Breaking Bad because they were kind of going around the same point in time. But it was a drama about the formation of the Transcontinental Railroad. And
I've never heard of this.
This show is absolutely outstanding and pulls a lot of stuff that, especially now, like if this had been made even like 3 to 5 years afterward, it would have been completely destroyed. Because like the main character is a former Confederate soldier. Like the show starts off and you've got this Confederate that's kind of like a pretty it was effectively a partisan ranger, like John Mosby style. That's going out west searching for the guys that killed his wife during Sherman's march south.
Damn.
Yeah, and he ends up getting linked up with the railroad and becomes the foreman of the railroad under Doc Durant, who is played by Cole Meany.
Absolutely. It's got Lieutenant O'Brien from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah, that's I believe that is Cole Meany right there. So that he plays Doc Durant, who's kind of like the antagonist of the show, and like it's really, really good. They have, again, you're saying like super lesbian-y. There's literally like one lesbian scene towards the end, and it doesn't even like really happen. You just know that this one character had a lesbian relationship at one point, and it like destroyed their professional career. So easy there.
Logan, listen.
One track mind.
If you've had an ex that became a lesbian, that happens to a lot of guys. There's no need to like. Logan would watch Band of Brothers and be like, that got a little bit lesbian-y.
There was a little bit of lesbian in there. Oh. How? Where?
Okay, so my number 4. I'm starting to think that my list is going to be a little bit more normie than yours, but I mean overall. But my number 4 is
West Wing is always
West
a good
Wing.
decision. Yeah, no, that's really good.
Aaron Sorkin. I didn't really. I kind of drifted away from Newsroom. But yeah, West Wing, Sports Night. He just kind of has a knack for. He has a knack for writing characters that, even if they have even if they're like diametrically opposed to one another, they still feel like really authentic characters that you can. Yeah, and man, I miss Leo. I love Leo. I miss Leo. That was like one of the most tragic things that ever happened on television, where I think his character had a stroke and then the actor died from a stroke. I don't know exactly what the timeline was, but it was super weird.
Yeah, that's like I have mainly watched. I don't think I've watched like seasons consecutively of West Wing, but like I've seen a whole bunch of great stuff from it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you can just kind of pop in at any episode, and you don't have to follow along like a whole season-long arc on it. But yeah, I would have had Sportsnet on here, but it was kind of like towing the line between comedy and drama. It was kind of in between, but yeah, Aaron Sorkin, like probably one of the better TV writers the last quarter century.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right. So number 3, I am going to. Oh man, this is so difficult.
What do you have, like just a 5 list and you hadn't really narrowed it down?
Yeah, like I have like a few like I have a few things that are like pretty interchangeable for me. I'm going to put this up here because I genuinely love this show, and it has quite possibly one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most important and relevant scenes of any modern TV show, and that is Turn, Washington Spies. I'll put that up there.
What is it called?
Turn, Washington Spies.
Well, you've managed to pick another one.
It's absolutely phenomenal. It's about the Culper spy ring. And just a great show. Very well done. And at the end of the show, there is a scene with George Washington approaching a publisher of a newspaper that had been spreading libel against him throughout the war. And they have this confrontation, and it is without a doubt the most one of if not the most relevant sequences in any modern TV show, and it is something that I feel everyone should watch. I know that I have the clip on my YouTube channel, but I don't want to like have it played and have the video and have the stream be copyright struck. Otherwise, I'd be like, just bring it up. But like, it is very good. And for that scene alone, it's worth it. They do a really good job with the show. There's not even okay. Moving on.
Well, you managed to hit me with another series I've never heard of, but it also reminded me of that there are shows that I feel like would probably make this list, but I've never actually watched them. But I get lost in like a YouTube rabbit hole on it.
That'll happen too.
What's that? I've forgotten one of the names of our founding fathers. Paul Giamatti. It's a mini series.
John Adams.
Adams. Or I think it might just be called Adams. Or I don't know.
It's Adams, and it was done by HBO. So if you have an HBO Max subscription, it's up there.
Yeah, never actually saw it, so I can't put it on the list. But like every time I watch a YouTube clip of it, I'm like, this looks awesome. Why haven't I watched this yet? All right. Well, my number 3 is Homicide: Life on the Street.
Nice.
Takes place in Baltimore. Um, Phenomenal acting. Um, there's an episode. Oh, also, have you ever heard of the? You know who this guy is, right? He's like an old comedian. He plays Detective John Munch on SVU.
Is that the guy in the front?
Yeah, I'm pointing to him now on the top middle.
Your cursor isn't coming up on my screen for whatever
You know
reason.
what? That makes sense that it isn't. I'm an idiot. But yeah, so he's like in the top middle.
There we go. Yeah, there I can see your cursor now. Yes, I'm aware of him.
Okay, so do you know about the Saint Elsewhere universe theory involving him?
No.
Okay, so he plays Detective John Munch on SVU.
Yes.
He also plays Detective John Munch on this show. He played Detective John Munch on The X-Files. John Munch has been on Sesame Street. And
so it's just the whole thing where he's bridge.
Exactly. So Detective John Munch
constant.
appears in a show called Saint Elsewhere that takes place in a hospital. At the end of the series, we find out that the entire show occurred in the mind of a boy with autism. But because John Munch was there, that means that every other show that John Munch was in is also in the mind of this boy. And once you start extrapolating outward to other things referenced in other TV shows, it's like the entire history of, storytelling has to take place in the mind of this boy on this show called Saint Elsewhere. And it's been used to connect like everything that's ever been on television, every movie, and people find ways to like connect things back to this moment. Yeah, it's kind of fascinating.
All the Munchverse.
Yeah. The Munchverse, yeah. But yeah, man, I was, when I was doing this list, I was, looking at different shows, and there's an episode of this show called The Subway, and it's just an episode about a guy who's played by Vincent D'Onofrio, another amazing actor, and he gets run over by a subway train, but the front half of his body is on the platform. And so if you don't know, when you get run over by a subway train, the train just basically turns your body around a bunch of times, and you're still alive. But once they lift the train up, you die. There's nothing else they can do.
That makes sense.
And so the entire episode is the guy in front here, the guy who was in, I think he was in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, and he's in that cop show now. Anyway, it's mostly about him just like talking to each other. And at the end of the episode, they're lifting up the train off of this guy, and like he's dying, right? And it's Vincent D'Onofrio, and he says to him, did you know that sugar maples turn their leaves up when it rains so the tree will get more water? And like, I don't know, that piece of dialogue is for what, I don't know why. It just stuck with me. It was just because what happens is after they lift up the train, the guy dies, and the cop is like broken from having witnessed all this. And he goes out to sit in the car, and he gets in the car, and his partner's like, "You okay?" And he says, "Did you know sugar maples lift up their leaves when it's going to rain so the tree can get water?" Learn something new every day. And it was just like one of the most perfectly written moments I've ever seen. Like, I found it on this rabbit hole yesterday, and I got like misty-eyed, and I don't even know why. It was just so...
There's some moments that are just like that. They just speak to you at that kind of level, you know?
It was like the sublime, I would say.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough of me ranting about John Munch and lesbians and homicide life on the street. What do you have for your second favorite
All right.
drama?
So, number 2 favorite drama was one that is already was mentioned briefly for a quick second when we started talking about this. But it's got to be Band of Brothers. I mean, I don't think that there's anything that really needs to be said. I mean, you're talking about like Spielberg and Tom Hanks working together after doing Saving Private Ryan, probably some of the best cinematography of their collective careers. Like they bring to life the accounts from the Stephen Ambrose books, and even like the fact that they got all of the guys that were still alive from Easy Company to do interviews to have at the end of each episode, like just outstanding work. It's a phenomenal show, and it should be on everybody's top 5, in my opinion. Like, it is just tremendous.
Now, wasn't between Band of Brothers and how did I forget the name of the movie? You just said it.
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan. Wasn't like every actor ever in those two, like when you combine them?
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, they have incredibly large ensembles on both of those.
But like even actors that hadn't even made it big yet, right?
Yeah,
so
totally.
Tom Hardy was in it.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of talent in there. It's crazy because you got the guy from Seinfeld playing why am I blanking his fucking name? The douchebag that's in charge of their training.
Oh, you mean David Schwimmer from Friends?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like to go from Friends to that.
Dude, that guy's career, I can't think of anybody who's done less. You know what I mean? Like
it's just like he hit it like an all-time high and then plummet.
In my headcanon, he did Friends. So he was on Friends, and then he did Band of Brothers, and then once those syndication checks started rolling in, he was just like, fuck this, I'm not working anymore. And just stopped. Like he wasn't in anything. He wasn't even trying.
Yeah. No, I mean, if he didn't want to, good for him.
Hey.
But it is definitely weird. That is certainly not what you see. Ibex mentions the Catch-22 miniseries on Hulu. I've been meaning to watch that because I love the book Catch-22. You know, really funny book. So I've been meaning to watch the series. Clooney, I believe that was the one that was directed and produced by Clooney, and Clooney's I think even in it. But I definitely need to check that out.
Well, for my number 2, I am pulling up the wrong thing, and
Twin Peaks is
okay.
really...
Well, that's not really the result I thought I was going to get. I forgot that there's a Twin Peaks like chain restaurant now. But yeah, Twin Peaks.
I mean,
no,
very influential show.
There's just no TV show like it. It's so profoundly weird, and I don't, it almost kind of breaks my own rule for what a drama is, because towards the end, things get a little bit supernatural with what is it called, the lodge, the red lodge or something.
Yeah.
A TV show that the creator didn't even want to tell you who the killer was until the network forced him to. A show in which they accidentally filmed a scene in which somebody was visible in the mirror, and when they realized that they made the mistake, they just cast that random guy as the killer. I'm not like the biggest like Lynch simp by any means, but he has this knack for... My theory is that he deliberately hires people who aren't good at acting, and uses their inability to act as part of the backdrop for his stories.
Yeah. And it's a very good series. And that's the thing with top 5 lists, is I feel like as you go through them with whoever you're talking about, they'll put one out there and like, God damn it, why didn't I think of that one? Because there's so much.
Yeah.
Black Angus is here, man. I haven't seen you in a hot minute. Granted, I also disappeared from social media for a bit. but we're making a comeback.
There it is. Okay, wait. What number are we even on?
We are on number 1, and
We are
before
on
I
number
list my
1.
number 1, I'm going to give an honorable mention
Okay.
because it would have beaten out The Sopranos had it not been for the last 2 or 3 episodes of it. And that would be the Sharp series. Everyone always jokes that Sean Bean dies and everything, but the Sharp series is based off of a series of Bernard Cornwell historical fiction novels about a man that was risen from the ranks from the enlisted men from the enlisted area to be an officer in the era of the Napoleonic Wars, and he fights for Arthur Wellesley during the Peninsular Campaign in Spain. Absolutely fantastic show. The first 2 episodes, Sharp's Rifles and Sharp's Eagles, are 2 of my favorite things ever.
Was he though? Was he a sharpshooter?
Yeah, he's a part of the 95th Rifles. They were the chosen sharpshooter.
Well, that joke sucked.
So that is my honorable mention for my number 1 pick, and it could only be this from a guy who did a joke book about Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon and making it into a manga, is Rome. HBO's Rome.
Well, you know what? That's not really going to help.
Yeah, just like you got to go HBO. HBO's Rome is absolutely phenomenal. Kevin McKidd and Ray Stevenson are 2 of the most underutilized actors in this industry. Kevin McKidd especially. Every single time I go back and watch this show, I love. Like, it's funny because like when it first came out, I was really young, and so I did not like Lucius Vorenus initially, and now he's like my favorite character. But then you get to even just the actors of like the famous characters of history. You had Kieran Hines playing Julius Caesar, and probably the best on-screen portrayal of Caesar that captures all of the nuance of him as a historical figure. But like, you get to see a bit of the tyrant, you get to see a bit of the the populist. You get the war commander, you get you get all of it. And then you have James Purefoy playing Mark Antony, and you couldn't have asked for a better guy to play Antony, especially given the roles that James Purefoy had been playing at that point in time. It was just absolutely phenomenal. I adore this show, and I like make a point to watch it once a year. It breaks my heart that it only got 2 seasons when it was supposed to have like 5 or 6. But I'm glad that we got it.
Yeah, Tundra brings up a good point. Your list is like the most masculine list ever. Like, I got a show about women giving birth, and you got ones about like Rome, war, forging nails with your bare hands. All right. My number 1 is, to the surprise of no one,
Oh, The Wire. Yeah, no, that's definitely up there too, man. It's a great show.
Yeah, it's I'd say it's My Sopranos because I'm not from Baltimore, but my family is, like all of my family. I like the amount of care that goes into portraying like all of the different aspects of society that lead to its own degradation, and having the courage to point out or to take on these like giant institutions that the show does. Except for the 4th season, I kind of agree with the thought that because the creator of the show was a journalist, that they were a little bit soft on journalism.
Yeah.
But yeah, just going through like, season 1, the police, season 2, the laborers, season 3, the schools, and just like, using the show to like take them to task.
Yeah.
Endlessly fascinating to me. Plus the fact that they use so many like actors that were local to the area. Idris Elba doing a Baltimore accent.
Is awesome. Yeah. They did a tremendous job with The Wire, and I don't think that there's a single person that has actually watched the show that has anything negative to say about it. Like, the worst that you get are constructive criticisms on, like as you said, like the show is written by a journalist. He has a bias. There's going to be things that are slightly skewed in favor of, well, the journalists are all the good people because I'm a journalist, and yeah.
Plus, it's really telling to me that David Simon has had success away from The Wire, whereas the writer of The Sopranos has done like almost nothing, and has had to
asking if she can count Xena Warrior Princess as a drama. I wouldn't consider that a drama. It is very fun, but like at that point we could just have Conan the Barbarian be a drama too. Like, but it's not.
But I mean, it isn't supernatural in any way, is it? Well,
no. Xena absolutely is supernatural. She all the crossovers with Kevin Sorbo's Hercules.
Okay.
She's like one of the main antagonists of Xena is Ares.
Well, I was way off then.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Lucy Lawless is a babe and always has been, but it can be number one in your heart, Tawdry. It just can't be your number one drama.
Well, I think we are going to call it a day. Holy crap, we actually finished on time. We should not have Logan more often.
He's just off in the background making lesbian comments because that's where his mind's at. It's all good.
That is effectively what he does. But SPQR launching on Friday. Where are you launching?
I will be launching on B Rose.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You gotta do it somewhere. And at least on B Rose, I won't be completely laughed out for the weebery. Because
but at the same time, he's probably just going to talk about Sarah's bum the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know. I've B Rose is like super excited about this book. He was one of the when I did the initial drawings of like Julius Caesar as a stand user and then posted them on Twitter. He was like one of the people that hit me up and was like, "You're gonna make that happen, right? Like that's gonna be a real thing, right?" And I was just like, "Well, I guess." I guess I gotta go find an artist now.
Well, the link is in the description. Looking forward to, I guess, watching it on B Rose's channel on Friday. Make sure if you're watching this on replay, you go sign up for the mailing list so you can get numerous secret perks. Yes. Appreciate everybody for coming out. Appreciate the chat as always. And we will see you next week.